Shavuot Tov, Walter and Sarah. Today is Sunday, or will be when this video goes up, and today I want to talk to you about something that got on my nerves last week. But first, philosophy. So I've been listening to this podcast, History of Philosophy, without any gaps, and I'm on episode 181. And it's amazing, and one of the reasons it's amazing is it allows me to feel very self-righteous about things like this. There was a lecture, and in the lecturer was speaking about cognitive neuropsychology, and the point he was trying to make is that traditional cognitive science uses categories like perception and cognition and action, and that is a vestige of an unscientific age, and we don't want that. So we should get rid of that stuff and start over, and everybody should just learn evolutionary biology. And with their new evolutionary biology thoughts, they should just, from nothing, come up with a new way to organize cognitive science. And then he talked about all sorts of things that he came up with through this sort of thinking from the ground up about evolution and about evolutionary neurobiology. Here's one of the main things he was talking about. He didn't really come up with this himself. This is something that's becoming very popular in neuroscience. The idea is that the point of life is just never to be too surprised. So like if you pick up some Hamantaschen, chocolate Hamantaschen, and you bite into it and it's poppy seed, that's a little surprise. That's not fun. So maybe next time you'll act differently. So see if it's poppy seed first, and then you won't be surprised at least. Or like if you have your hand chopped off and you can't work as a carpenter because that's the only thing you know how to do, and that's an even bigger surprise. And it's much worse because it means your whole life is filled with uncertainty. Because you don't know of anything, you don't know what you're doing. Everything our brains are doing is just trying to create a situation where we can predict really well what's going to happen. Maybe we're changing the situation so it's a kind of thing that we can predict better, and maybe we're just building understanding so that we can predict better. Meanwhile, in ancient Greece, there was this guy, Epicurus. He started one of the major schools of Hellenistic philosophy. He thought that the good was happiness. He was a hedonist. So that means he thought that you should just party it up all the time, right? No. If you drink alcohol, wake up with a hangover. That's not good for happiness in the long run. Sex? You know what happens when you have sex. Children are not fun. They want to be fed. Eat a lot of good food. You have a stomach ache afterward. Okay, but what if you eat good food in moderation and wear nice clothes? That's also a little bit dangerous, says Epicurus, because what if something bad happens to you financially? You don't have any money to support your fancy clothes and nice food. What are you going to do then? You're going to be bummed. So really what you should do is just learn to be happy with bread and water. Then you'll never be surprised. But wait, I thought we're talking about happiness, not surprise. Epicurus said, who is the happiest of them all? Well, Zeus, of course. You know why? Zeus does not give a single fig about anything at all. Anything happens in the world, Zeus doesn't care. It doesn't surprise Zeus. Zeus isn't surprised by anything. That is true happiness, according to Epicurus. It's the same thing. Especially this idea that in order to not be surprised in the long run, you have to be more surprised in the short run. You have to undergo the unpleasantness of teaching yourself to be happy with bread and water before you can be happy in the long run by never being surprised, by never having to change your lifestyle. Just so, if you want to learn not to be surprised, where should you look in your surroundings? You should look to the places that are actually going to surprise you most. That you're not sure what's there, because that'll teach you what's there, and then you won't be surprised in the long run. So you got to be a little surprised first, not to be surprised in the long run. That's Epicureanism. So that's why I just wish that people would have a little bit of humility, especially people who are thinking about things for a living, because there sure have been a lot of generations of people thinking about things. And if you have a really good idea, it just might be that somebody 1,000 years ago had that same really good idea or something like it, and maybe it's just a good idea. That's my nerdy rant of the week. I hope not all these videos will be nerdy rants. But anyway, Sarah, I will see you on Sunday.